Hello everyone, we're doing an Assorted lore video today. As requested by all of these wonderful people, we'll be going over the various super modes of the Horsemen, as well as Abraxas from the Darksiders franchise.
Alright, so each of the four Horsemen has some form of super mode, though the shape, powers, and names differ between each Horseman. Technically we don't know what Strife's is yet, but come Genesis we will. It would be truly shocking for him to be without a super mode of some kind. Regardless of their individual differences, all of the super modes revealed thus far share three basic traits. The character grows in size, grows in power, and mitigates incoming damage. The biggest question about the Horsemen's super forms is, are they a natural ability held by the Horsemen's race, the Nephilim, or are the super forms one of the, quote, unimaginable powers granted to the Horsemen by the Council? Unfortunately, there is no clear-cut answer, as the only living Nephilim in existence are the Horsemen, and we've never seen them in action without working for the Council. We do get to see Absalom, the very first Nephilim in Darksiders 2, but he too is hopped up on additional external power, in this case, corruption. Though following our previously mentioned basic traits of a Nephilim superform, he too has a boss fight stage where he grows bigger and does more damage, though he doesn't seem to reduce damage he receives.
There is evidence to support both the possibility of the superforms being inherent, as well as them being gifts from the Council. In Darksiders 1, when War regains his super mode, Samael calls it War's true power, but that could be a reference to either possibility. Earlier in the game, during the prologue, the Council strips War of his powers, forcing his superform duration to end, though it's possible that the Council's empowerment was War's seeming ability to remain in his super mode indefinitely, something we never see from any of the other Horsemen, even War himself, later in the game. Meaning it's possible that the superform itself was inherent and the Council merely took away his endless mana pool, as it were. Darksiders 2 and the Death's Door comics both hint at the possibility that the superforms are inherent, as we are explicitly told multiple times in both the game and the comics that Death is not on a Council-sanctioned mission and is thus without much of his Council-granted power. Despite this, he can still activate his super mode. It's worth noting that both War and Fury, who were on Council missions, War's at least sorta counts, have a flame-like glow to their superforms, and Death's superform does not. This could indicate that War and Fury's supermodes were empowered by the Council and Death was not, as again, they were both on Council missions and Death was not. However, it is just as likely that the base appearances for the Horsemen's forms are all simply that different.
Finally, in Darksiders 3, a consumable known as a Havoc Shard can be used to instantly fill Fury's super meter, allowing her to enter her super form. The flavor text for the Havoc Shard presents two likely possibilities for how the shards empower Fury. First, Fury's super mode is called Havoc Form, and the Havoc Shards are said to contain within a raging storm of turmoil. Since Fury gains Havoc by, in loose terms, creating havoc, this could explain how she draws power from the Havoc Shards. Perhaps they are simply concentrated havoc. Alternatively, the flavor text also says that the shards are remains of angelic souls tainted by demonic possession, thus meaning that the shards are remnants of mingled angelic and demonic energy, the very same baseline stuff from which the Nephilim race was formed. Between Death's access to his super form without Council-granted powers and the flavor text for the Havoc Shards, we've come to the belief that the super forms are natural abilities possessed by the Nephilim themselves, and the Council merely enhance the super forms in some way, just as they nebulously enhance the rest of the Horsemen's abilities in some way. Though it should be noted that this is all still entirely conjecture on our part. Though, if this is true, that would explain why they were able to wreak havoc across a sizable portion of the universe, and why they were so feared in battle. Imagine an army of giant energy-wreathed creatures who are all nigh on immune to damage. Scary, right?
Moving on to the specifics, War's super mode is known as his Chaos Form. Like most of War's abilities and even his favorite weapon, the Chaos Eater, War feeds off of the chaos of battle in order to fuel his Chaos Form. In point of fact, he can normally only charge his Chaos meter by pummeling enemies with the Chaos Eater's sword. Upgrades acquired later in the game allow him to charge his meter with any weapon, though even then he gets the greatest yield of Chaos energy when using his favorite weapon. When War activates his Chaos form, his size increases by roughly double, and he takes on a burly demonic form, complete with vestigial wings, and is either wreathed in or composed entirely of flame. Additionally, he either conjures a great falchion-like blade or converts the Chaos Eater into one. He's never seen without his trusty sword, so it's hard to say which occurs. In this form, he loses a small degree of agility, but gains a vast amount of power. Chaos Form War annihilates everything in his path, doing wildly increased damage seemingly through sheer mystical might being channeled into pure brute force, with a fiery shockwave or two on the side for good measure. As a final note, in this form, War is also completely invulnerable, taking no damage from even the mightiest of enemies.
Death's take on the super mode is a little different. His super mode is known as Reaper Form, and like War, Death can originally charge his Reaper Form only with scythe attacks. But, also like War, over time he can acquire items and abilities that let him charge his Reaper Form using other weapons or abilities. When activated, the Reaper Form roughly doubles Death's size, turning him into a floating hooded Reaper-like figure with bony, fleshless wings and wielding a truly massive scythe. Though not allowed mechanically to the player during combat, in cutscenes Death often flies using his Reaper Form, and is resultantly the only Horseman shown, so far, to have the power of flight. The Reaper Form functions drastically different from War's Chaos Form. Death largely maintains his mobility when using his super mode, and while his power does increase, it's based upon the base Death's abilities. So the stronger Death is, level, gear, etc., the stronger his Reaper Form becomes. The Reaper Form doesn't render Death immune to all damage, but it does drastically reduce the amount of damage that Death receives and gives him a small amount of lifesteal and/or life regen, allowing him to heal a small amount over time.
Fury's take on the super mode is something of a conceptual blend of her brother's super modes. In her case, the ability is known as Havoc Form. Unlike her brothers, Fury uses only her primary weapon, the whip Scorn, throughout her game. As such, all the other weapon variations she is seen using, minus her thrown weapon, are simply Scorn shapeshifting to adopt different weapon properties. As such, all of her melee attacks generate Havoc energy no matter what weapon form she uses, though, like in previous games, there are methods to increase the rate of Havoc generation as well. When Havoc Form is activated, Fury grows to roughly twice her height, taking on the form of an armored, glowing, possibly molten and/or fiery, demonic-looking creature, wielding dual-bladed whips which she flails around to deadly effect. In Darksiders 3, the player's baseline damage is broken up into physical and arcane damage, physical damage being generic attacks, and arcane damage only occurring when special abilities like counterattacks are used. When in Havoc Form, all damage Fury deals become arcane damage, so while there is always a bonus, the exact level of power boost the player receives depends upon how many points they've dumped into arcane damage. Additionally, Fury 2 is completely immortal while in Havoc mode, and she regenerates life at an absurd speed, making her Havoc Form not just a power-up, but the ultimate comeback tool when things are looking grim.
Finally, let's go ahead and discuss Abraxas. Very little is known about Abraxas. He is a powerful demon lord in service to Abaddon after Abaddon became the Destroyer. In fact, when Fury encounters Abraxas during Darksiders 3, he is overseeing the construction of the Black Tower, where War spends a significant portion of his time either getting to or inside of during his game some decades later, and where Abaddon made his home once he joined the demons. Dealing with Abraxas at all is an entirely optional endeavor for Fury. When the Lord of Hollows is first encountered, he informs her that Abraxas was a threat to the balance and asks her to kill him and bring the Lord of Hollows his soul. When the player arrives, Abraxas informs Fury that the Lord of Hollows plans to hollow the earth as part of his plans, a fact that the Lord of Hollows does not deny. Abraxas claims that this makes the Lord of Hollows a threat to the balance, not Abraxas. From Abraxas' perspective, the Lord of Hollows is simply a traitor, though whether that's a traitor to the balance or to hell itself, since indications point towards the Lord of Hollows being a demon, is unknown. Abraxas plans to hunt down the Lord of Hollows once he's finished with overseeing the Black Tower's construction, and is entirely unconcerned with Fury's presence. He knows she's there to kill him, but he's not only certain that he can handle things, he's also certain he can sway her to his side. If the player chooses to spare Abraxas' life, he is obviously quite pleased, and lets Fury know that she is welcome in he and his master's kingdom. It is at this point when the player is informed that Abraxas works for Abaddon the Destroyer. If, on the other hand, the player chooses to slay Abraxas as the Lord of Hollows asked, Abraxas seems neither surprised nor worried, and simply sets about fighting Fury as if he had better things to do. His final words before being cut down are that Fury is on the wrong side of history, something only time will tell. Though, personally, we're pretty sure that if Fury chooses to slay Abraxas, she's choosing the right side.
And that's basically what we know about the Horsemen Superforms and the Demon Lord Abraxas. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave us a like, and if you know someone who might like it as well, send them our way. If you have ideas for videos you'd like to see us do in the future, do like all of these wonderful people, and let us know in the comments down below. If you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, be they lore or let's play, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
In the meantime, this has been True Masters and Morons, signing off. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more like it, hit that subscribe orb.
To see our last Let's Play, click or tap the link on the right.
For our last lore video, click the link on the left.
Thank you to all of our patrons for making these videos possible.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.